Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. So today I'll be talking about the Fast Turn tool, new cork fabric, and Button Lovers Club buttons, book review for A New Spin on the Drunkard's Path. My sewing tutorial will be for using the Fast Turn tool, and I also have a great giveaway at the end. Okay, so just a friendly reminder, everything that I talk about during Sewcial Sunday, I have a link to in the description. So if you're interested in finding more about the notions, fabrics, or anything else that I've talked about, make sure you check the link in the description to find out more. And pretty much everything that I talk about are things that I've purchased myself, so I'm not paid to push these things on you. These are just cool things that I found that I want to share. So kicking off the chat is my favorite portion, the notion of the week, and I wanted to talk about this week the Fast Turn turning tools. So I bought these a couple years ago, and at the time the only way to get the Fast Turn tool was in a full set of 5 tools. Later this year, and actually they've just come out with single Fast Turn tools, so you don't have to buy the whole set. And in fact, I use this 1/2-inch Fast Turn tool about 99% of the time. But let me just show you really quick what this tool is comprised of. So it's a metal tube with sort of a platform on this one end, and this rod, so this is a metal rod. It comes with sort of a little handle, and this end has a corkscrew, kind of like a piggy tail, and it goes inside the tube, and the corkscrew kind of swivels inside the end of the fabric, and you pull it through the tube. So I'll have my sewing tutorial of the week later in the chat for how to use this tool, but I really dearly love this. I've tried other churning tools, and for some reason the end always comes out of the fabric, and this little corkscrew stays in there firm. So I can't wait to show you how to use this later in the chat. And thanks everybody for joining me this week. Hi Tamara, Nicole, Karen's here too. Gwenna's here. Gwenna said, so glad to be home to watch this week and not traveling in the car. So thanks so much everybody who's joined me live. Tara says she snuggled in bed tuning in as it's 11 p.m. in the UK. So thanks so much for everybody joining me worldwide. I have been working on a secret project for the last about 6 weeks. It's actually, I haven't said anything about it yet, but it's 12 projects. So I've been really busy. I'm actually going to be starting to show sneak peeks on social media, so Facebook and Instagram. I'll start showing sneak peeks next week on October 2nd, so 1 sneak peek a day. I have 12 projects to share with you. Not only the projects with the patterns, but we'll have videos to go along with them. So I can't wait to start showing you the sneak peeks next week. 1 per day, so make sure that you follow me on social media and have notifications set so you don't miss those. And of course I'll be showing bits and pieces here and there on Sewcial Sunday, so I can't wait to start showing those. But in the meantime, since I can't show those quite yet, yesterday I cleaned off my desk, and I know I'm always talking about how messy my desk is. Yesterday I pretty much took everything off, organized it. I had a lot of things that I wasn't using on my desk that were not daily things that I needed, like a lot of receipts and tax paperwork, which I don't like to be reminded of because I'm not good at math, so I found a new home for those. My general habit for my desk is that I had my sewing machine, and I had basically a cocoon of papers, fabrics, and different things around the machine. And if you're a bag maker, or even if you're a quilter, you need a bit of extra room around the sides and back of your sewing machine. And because my desk was so cluttered, every time I would go to sew something, especially as the bag was coming together and it was getting larger and larger, when I would turn it through the machine, I would be knocking like papers and things off the edge of my desk, and it was just a disaster. So yesterday I took care of that. We'll see how long I can keep it clean. I cleaned up the floor in my sewing room a little bit too, so I can actually walk. So I'm very pleased with myself, and I'm curious, and let me know in the comments, but how often do you clean either your sewing room or your work area if it's a shared area? So for example, I used to sew on my dining room table, so if that's the case, or with your sewing room. Let me know in the comments, how often do you clean your work area? Maybe I need to be on a better schedule. I'm not really sure. Do you clean it after you finish every project, once a week, once a month? Let me know. I'm really curious to find out, so let me know in the comments. So that was what I was working on this past week. The fabric of the week, I actually got 2 new colors of cork fabric in, and I know it's just 2 colors, but these are really, really good ones. So the first one is cork fabric in rainbow. So this is basically a natural background cork with kind of a foil looking metallic rainbow splattered all over it. So my friend Christy from Rock Baby Scissors asked me for this rainbow cork, and we finally got it in. So Christy, this is for you. This is a really cool one, and I have pictures in the overlay as well. And the second one is rose gold. So it's kind of a mauve-y rose gold print, and the background is gold fleck. So this one's really cool as well. When I got samples of this one in, I knew I had to make a bag out of it. I'm not sure quite yet what bag pattern of mine that I'll make, but I super love this, and rose gold is really on trend right now. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe during the week I'll get to sewing something maybe simple just so I can get it done really quick, but maybe I'll have something to show you next Sunday on Sewcial Sunday with the rose gold cork. So these are both available right now. Link in the description if you're interested in finding out more. But these are real good ones. So I can't wait to see what everybody ends up making with these 2 new colors of cork. And along with the cork fabric, I got another Button Lovers Club box in the mail, and this one is a winner. So October's almost upon us, and I have pictures in the overlay of bigger graphics of what the buttons look like, but these are Halloween inspired buttons, and the Button Lovers Club that's going on right now is more handcrafted illustrative buttons. So the buttons that I got, these are the coolest things that I've ever seen. So there's there's a Dracula, a Frankenstein, a ghost, a pumpkin. I can't wait to make something with these because they're so cool. And there's also, you know, just regular handmade buttons for Halloween colors. So there's orange, there's small orange and black ones that I got in my box as well. These are so cool. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to, my daughter wanted to steal these from me, and I was like, nope, I'm making something for myself. So I'll see what I come up with, but I can't wait to use these Halloween buttons. And again, this was from the Button Lovers Club. Okay, so a non-sewing related topic that I wanted to mention really quick. So I have a bookkeeper, and she helps me keep on top of accounting for my business, and numbers and math are not my thing. I've never been good at math, and it just kind of makes me want to pull my hair out. So I have a bookkeeper to help me with that. And we were talking this past week, and I mentioned to my bookkeeper that my business card was compromised last month. Somebody actually used my business credit card to purchase theme park tickets for Hershey Park, Dollywood, and Schlitterbahn. And so basically they were going on a shopping spree of all these theme park tickets. I mean, I hope they had a great time since they used my money to do it. But anyway, I had to report the fraud on the card, and I mentioned it to my bookkeeper. And she said that her husband had something fraudulent happen to him recently, where somebody was trying to open a credit card up using his address and information. And I asked her how her husband found out about somebody trying to open the card, and she said that somebody from the bank sent them a letter and contacted them about that. And so in light of what happened recently with hackers stealing information from a lot of people, including Social Security numbers, I wanted to protect myself. And so I looked into it, and apparently you can freeze your credit, which means that if you don't know anything about that, when you go to apply for either a loan or a credit card, the company issuing the loan contacts one of 3 credit reporting agencies. So Experian and TransUnion are 2 of them, but the 3 credit reporting agencies, it's possible to freeze your credit, which means nobody can try to open up a credit card or apply for a loan using your information. And so I had not heard of this before, and I thought it was a good idea. So we already own our own home. We have a car. I'm not planning on opening any credit cards up. And so I went ahead and froze my credit. And if you're interested in finding out how to do that or just reading up information about that, the link is in the description. But It's really easy. It took me about 5 to 10 minutes for each one. So there's 3 agencies and you need to freeze your credit for each of the 3. One of them was free and the other 2 were $10 each. So for peace of mind, I thought that was well worth it. And you get a PIN number when you freeze your credit. So when you want to unfreeze it, you just use your PIN number to do that so that you know it's you. I asked people on my personal Facebook page if they had done that, and everybody said, yes, please freeze your credit. It's a good idea. Do it. Everybody said to do it. So I'm curious if you have frozen your credit or if you think you might want to. Just let me know in the comments. I'm curious how many of you have frozen your credit already in light of things that have been going on lately. I'm curious to know. And somebody on my Facebook page actually said that she had frozen her credit several years ago. So I didn't even know about this. So that's why I wanted to bring it up during Sewcial Sunday, even though it's not sewing related. I think it's important, and you know, keep your credit and your credit cards, everything, keep everything safe and away from hackers. So freeze your credit. It just takes a few minutes. Go do it. All right, so on to more sewing related things, but last week I promised to start doing book reviews. So this week's book review is for a book that came out a couple years ago. It's a new spin on Drunkard's Path, and the whole book is quilt patterns for making projects using the Drunkard's Path block. And if you're not familiar with that, it's using curved piecing, and so a portion of the quilt block is sort of a pizza pie shaped curved piece that fits into another piece that creates a square. So a little bit of curved sewing is involved, but the bigger the block, the easier that the Drunkard's Path sewing goes. And I actually made a quilt when the book first came out, and this project from the book is called Peacock Alley, and I just got the quilt back from the person that long-armed it. So Sari Diddy was the person that long-armed this quilt for me, and I don't know a lot about long-arming, and I think obviously doing that for a living, I trust her, and I said, just do whatever you want. And it was funny because periodically she would text message me questions. Well, do you want this? Do you want that? And I said, anything you want, just do it. I'll be cool with it. And I think she was really happy to hear that because she used, so here's the quilt. I haven't bound it yet, but she used glow-in-the-dark threads. As this fabric is Tula Pink Nightshade, it's a Halloween print. My husband's going to help me hold this up, but so this is a medallion quilt from the book, and the witch is the focal of the print, and the blocks around the outer edge are using the Drunkard's Path piecing. So as you can see, there's curves there. Yeah, I guess I can't show you. I'm going to have my husband put up some images in the overlay. So I took a picture when I finished the quilt top, so you can see, yeah, there's the picture. That's the quilt top. As you can see, I used all Tula Pink Nightshade fabrics in the quilt. And the funny thing about Nightshade, when it first came out, the fabrics several years ago, I just bought small pieces of it. I'm not sure why. I don't know what I was thinking. Now when I buy Tula Pink fabrics, I buy several yards at a time, but I only have a small bit of Nightshade, and in fact, most of the prints I only had enough to make this quilt. But it's out of print. It's been out of print for a few years, and it's very dear. So if you can even find it anywhere, eBay or Etsy. I laugh with my friends because sometimes I see a fat quarter going for $150. $150 for a fat quarter, that's insane. So it's very hard to get a hold of. I have little bits and pieces left, but I made this quilt, and the backing of the quilt, you can see probably in the overlay in a second. The back of the quilt is Minky, and Sari Diddy, she long-armed with the glow-in-the-dark thread. So she long-armed spiders. Maybe you can see if I hold it. Yeah, there it is. So there's spiders, spider webs. So this is a true Halloween quilt. I can't wait to bind it. I think I'm going to use, Tula Pink has this striped fabric. It's called Tent Stripe, but I have it in purple, so like a lighter purple and a darker shade of purple. I think that's what I'm going to use for the binding. But I can't wait to finish this quilt, and I know it's going to be really warm because the batting is wool batting and the backing is that purple Minky, and so this is going to be a really cozy quilt. And again, this project was made from the book A New Drunkard's Path, a new spin on the Drunkard's Path, and John, the author, did a great job of putting together some unique projects in the quilt. the quilt book. It's really well written, and I think if you haven't sewn with Drunkard's Path blocks before, I think you definitely should. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great skill to have. But anyway, I thought this was a great book, and obviously you can tell that I loved the book because I actually finished a project from it. So really happy with my nightshade quilt, and thanks again to Sari Diddy for long arming it for me. Excuse me. All right, so the sewing tutorial of the week is using that fast turn tool that I showed you at the beginning of the chat. So I have two projects that I made that I use that fast turn tool for. So this is my Sublime bag sewing pattern, and this particular bag for the handles I did make using the cork fabric, which you can leave raw, but in the sewing pattern there's also directions for if you're making the entire bag out of quilting cotton. And to make the handles, obviously if you're using quilting cotton, you need to sew right sides together and turn out using some sort of turning tool. And so I use the fast turn tool to make cotton handles for my example video for the Sublime bag. And the fast turn tool made it really quick and easy. So the fast turn tool made the handles for the Sublime bag and also for my Emblem duffel bag. On this duffel bag, on the side of the bag, there's these tabs, and so the fast turn tool is not only good for handles or like spaghetti straps on a dress, but tabs as well. These are really hard to, they're small and fiddly, and it's really hard to turn by hand just like the strap was, but the fast turn tool makes it really quick. And so enjoy this really quick sewing tutorial on how to use the fast turn tool. Okay, after you've sewn the handle right sides together, you'll want to leave little notches wherever there's a curved edge. So I've done that already. So notches are just cutting small V's approximately every ½ inch, and that's just where the curved edge is. Okay, so we'll need to turn the handle right side out, and you can use various turning tools. I use this fast turn tool, which comes with several different sizes of tubes with a little rod here with a little sort of a piggy tail squiggle on the end. And so I'm going to use this to turn my handle right side out. So I'm going to use this size tube for that process. Okay, to work this fast turn tool, you're going to slide the tube through the opening. So I'll start on this end first. And then this little metal rod goes through, and you turn it until that little squiggle comes out the other end. So here's that metal squiggle, and because it's sort of got that squiggle, that's what grabs onto the fabric, and it'll help pull it through to turn right side out. Okay, and then to release it, you'll just twist that squiggle again, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to use one of the other rods just to poke the corners out. Okay, you want to give this a good press, and where you have that hole, you'll want to press toward the wrong side by 1/4 inch just to conceal all of the raw edges. Okay, so finish giving that handle a press, and then your handle, if you're using the cotton fabric, is all ready to top stitch and attach to the bag. Okay, now we're going to be working on the tabs. So I'm using cotton fabric, so I've got the cotton fabric fused to the Shapeflux interfacing. If you happen to cut out your tabs with leather, so meaning if you cut out your pattern piece on the dashed line and cut from leather, cork, or another fabric that can be left raw, you're going to glue, with fabric glue, you're going to glue the tabs together, so 2 tabs, wrong sides together, glue those and let those dry for a few minutes. But let me show you how to work with that cotton fabric. So because this has that stitching line, so the dashed line is 1/4 of an inch smaller than the full size tab pattern piece, I went ahead and cut one of those out on the dashed line because it's really handy to mark the stitching line so that you can have even stitches, and you only need to mark 2 of the tab pieces. So just center it on the fabric the best you can and then draw along the outer edge of that piece that was cut out on the dashed line. Okay, so I'm going to use 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, but since I drew the line, I can just stitch right on top of the line. So I'm going to place 2 of these tab pieces right sides together, and I'm going to stitch just right on top of the line all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to clip the corners, so that just means I'm going to cut diagonally across the corners. And wherever there's a curved edge and where this edge dips in, I'm going to make little V's, and that's called notching. Okay, now it's time to turn this right side out, and there's several different turning tools that you can use. I like the fast turn. It's a tube with a little wire with a corkscrew on one end, and that corkscrew just helps pull the fabric right side out. So to use the fast turn, you just slide the tube in the opening, and then this little wire goes through the fabric, and you just sort of twist it until that little corkscrew pokes out the other end, and then the corkscrew kind of grabs the fabric and pulls it back through the tube. I'm just trying to be gentle with my fabric so I don't rip anything. There we go. Okay, so to release that corkscrew on the fast turn, you just twist it until it pops out. And then use a turning tool or a blunt object to poke out the corners of the tab. Okay, so after you poke out the corners, you're going to press it, and this is what it should look like when it's pressed. So you'll have 2 of those, and if you're working with the leather, your glue should be dry by now, and we're ready to insert this into the bag. Okay, so that was a quick little tutorial on how to use the fast turn turning tool. So I have a set of 5, and I think the set of 5 retails for around $50, give or take where you're getting it from. But they just came out with single sizes, and this is the 1/2 inch size, which I use most often. And I think the singles are retailing, depending on the size, around $10. So that's a lot more manageable than the $50 for the whole set, because my whole set of 5, I'm really not using the other sizes all that often, so having the singles is really handy, and this is really easy to use and it's foolproof. So that's the fast turning tool. I had a few questions come in while that video was playing. Lori wanted to know, what if there's Peltex in the tab? I've not personally made tabs with Peltex already attached in them, but I think it might be easier to use ShapeFlex. And again, that was one of the other questions. Somebody wanted to know what interfacing was on the fabric. So I was using Kona quilting cotton, the black fabric, for the emblem tabs at the end, and that had ShapeFlex interfacing on that. If I was going to use Peltex to make a very stiff tab, I'd probably turn the fabric right side out first and then cut the Peltex minus the seam allowance, maybe put it inside. I might leave one side of the tab open so I could fit it in. But yeah, most of the time I just use the ShapeFlex and attach it to the bag. I've never had straps or tabs rip out of a bag, so just food for thought on that. Regarding my question earlier about cleaning the sewing room, so Susie says she cleans her sewing room quarterly and empties the room when she does that and basically starts all over. That sounds really interesting to me, like starting from scratch and maybe refolding and reorganizing everything. That sounds like you could get a lot done, and maybe you might come across while you're cleaning fabrics or patterns that you forgot you had, and maybe you'll pull those out and make something from them. That sounds like a good idea to me. And Vicky said, wait, we're supposed to clean? That's no fun. And I totally agree. Cleaning's not fun, but it sure feels good once you get the cleaning done and you have an almost new sewing room to work from. All right, so the question of the week, not question of the week, the giveaway of the week is for a set of threads and a quilt pattern. So this is a Mini Mosaic quilt pattern by Cheryl Lynch. This is for a giraffe print Mini Mosaic, and it's about, the finished mini quilt is about the size of a sheet of paper. And not only does it come with the instructions, but there's batik fabrics to make the project on the cover of the quilt. And besides that, there's also stabilizer inside the packet and a tool to make the finished project. And it comes with a seam cutting guide. So these mosaic tiles are made with 3/8 of an inch squares of fabric, which are really small. But this is, the giveaway is including this giraffe mini quilt. And I actually purchased a Mini Mosaic quilt pattern for myself with a bee mini, it's right there in the overlay right now, a bee wearing a crown, which I thought would be really cool to make in Allison Glass sun prints. They're basically monochromatic fabrics, so I'm looking forward to making one of my own, and I thought my daughter might like to help me. It seems like it's a lot of fusing and arranging the colored tiles, so I thought that would be fun for both of us to do that together. And Debby Brown also sent 4 spools of her decorative FabuLux threads. So these particular threads are variegated, and there's a black one, a brown, an orange, and a green, and there's some additional photos in the overlay. The photos in the overlay are not included in the giveaway, but I just wanted you to just see some of the additional colors included. So to enter the giveaway, I choose a random winner at the end of the day, September 30th, which is Saturday, and all you have to do to enter the giveaway is to answer my giveaway question and leave it in the comments. So my question this week is, what kind of iron do you use? So I have my iron right here, and this is a Singer Expert Finish iron. I've had this iron for maybe 5 years now, and I love it so much that I actually bought, I have my retreat coming up next weekend. I actually bought 2 more of these same exact irons for the retreat. It doesn't leak, which my previous iron did end up leaking after a year. It's really easy to use. It automatically shuts off if I haven't used it for a little bit of time. So I know I shouldn't do this, but I always leave my iron plugged in and on. But this is a really great iron. It's affordable. It's less than $100, and I bought it on Amazon. So this is my iron, the Singer Expert Finish iron. I like it that it has this tip at the top. It's really good for ironing open seams or ironing quilt blocks. But to enter the giveaway, just let me know in the comments what type of iron that you have at home in your studio. And again, I'll choose the winner on the end of the day, Saturday, September 30th, from one person that's answered my giveaway question about the irons. So one winner will win the Mini Mosaic quilt pattern by Cheryl Lynch, the cutting guide, and the FabuLux threads by Debby Brown. So just comment to enter the giveaway. We'll be adding, starting the week of October 4th, we'll be adding our 2 additional Facebook Lives. So Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll also have a Facebook Live, and we'll be posting the schedule on social media. But the first new chats will be on October 5th and October 7th. So that's Tuesday and Thursday. And we'll still have Sewcial Sunday every Sunday, but I just had so much extra things that I wanted to talk about that were sewing related. So we added 2 more weekly chats. So that'll be coming beginning of October. But again, this has been Sewcial Sunday. I hope to see you again next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time, and happy sewing.